Hi everyone and welcome to EduTap YouTube channel. Today in this brief video, we are going to discuss what thus is the strategy that one can adopt for acing the EPFO APFC examination, which is going to be conducted by UPSC. The complete strategy that one can adopt for this examination, how one can cover all the components of the syllabus, we are going to discuss in today's video. Right? So right from the start, first of all, again I would like to apprise you of the fact that what is the stages and pattern of the examination. If we talk about the stages, there are two stages in this examination. First one is your recruitment test and the second one is interview. Right? So recruitment test, already we know that this test will be an objective test. Total duration of 2 hours, total questions which will be there in the examination will be 120 and total marks will be 100 marks, right? And 1/3 negative marking will also be there for each and every question. You will get 1/3 penalty of the maximum marks, 1/3 of the maximum marks you will get a penalty if you answer that question incorrectly, right? Next, interview is also there. Interview in the interview stage, we know that total marks of 100 will be allotted to the interview. The maximum marks are 100 marks. And there is also a minimum marks which must be given to every aspirant depending on the category which this aspirant belongs to, right? So these are the two stages. But if we talk about the final result that will be coming, the final result will be based, the final merit of the candidate will be based on the proportion of marks, 75% that he is getting in the recruitment test and about 25% that he will be getting in the interview stage. So if you are out of 100 marks, you score how many marks, that will be multiplied by 3 times the marks of your recruitment test and plus 1 times the marks you score in your interview. Out of total 400, you will be getting your total marks, 75% from the recruitment test and 25% from the interview, right? So obviously now we know that recruitment test is a very important and very crucial stage. How many marks you get in the recruitment test, that will decide if you will be able to see your name in the final merit list or not. Okay, so it is very important that you score as many marks as possible in the recruitment test, because obviously we are not sure about the interview how many marks you will be getting there. So how can we make sure that we get maximum marks in the recruitment test? What should be the strategy? How much time would it take for us to completely prepare the syllabus for the APFC examination? Already many of us candidates, we are preparing for some other examinations as well. We are preparing for some UPSC examinations or some regulatory bodies examinations. We are preparing for that, and some of us are also working, professionals who are working in some banks or some other institutions or in some other jobs. So we have a very limited time on our hand to prepare for APFC examination. Okay, so keeping all those things in mind, first of all, the syllabus of APFC should be very clear to all of us. This syllabus includes various chapters coming from various different backgrounds. We have population development and globalization, for example. This has a touch of geography and economy as well. Then governance and constitution of India, exactly a polity theoretical subject where you will have to read about Indian constitution, Indian laws and Indian governance measures that have been taken. Then there is also general mental ability and statistics, where your mathematical skills are required. Your statistics, your knowledge about statistics should be very well aware. You must be very well aware about that in order to answer these questions. In addition to that, industrial relations and labor laws, accountancy and auditing, then general English, then awareness about the current events, the current affairs, the general awareness, all these different things will be there. And then Indian culture, heritage and freedom movement. So the Indian freedom movement, especially after the revolt of 1857, that becomes also very important for the examination. So students coming from medical background, non-medical background, from arts background, from commerce background, all the students, they have some part of the syllabus that they have studied in either their graduation or during their school times. Okay, so for example, students who are coming from a mathematical background or from commerce background, they might find it very easy. General mental ability and statistics, they might be able to prepare it very easily. They might be able to prepare for general English very easily, right? But also for computer applications, but they will find it difficult to completely remember the facts and dates and all these things which are present in the Indian freedom movement. Okay, then if we talk about accountancy and auditing, this would be much easier for the commerce students, but not so much for the students coming from other backgrounds. So what we have to make sure that we must have a comprehensive strategy depending upon your prior knowledge, depending upon what is the examination that you are also preparing for. For UPSC aspirants, already we have read about our history, we have read about geography, we have read about Indian economy and general science. So all these things we have read about, but there are certain things like industrial relations which we might not be very much aware about. There are things like accountancy and auditing which we might not be aware about. So First of all, you must assess yourself. Where do you stand? What is your prior knowledge? What other examinations you are preparing for? And how can you coincide the preparation for those examinations with the with the preparation of APFC exam, right? So now I am going to tell you about the importance of these different topics which are there in the syllabus. First of all, if we look at the previous paper of 2015, which was conducted by UPSC for APFC post, we can see out of 120 questions, most of the questions, around 45% questions, they were there from the general studies. This general studies, what does it comprise of? I will tell you. Next, elementary maths and mental ability. That is your mathematical skills. Again, very important. Large number of questions were asked from this particular segment also. Okay. Then general English is also there. Computer applications, you get around 9-10 questions from the computer applications. Then social security, which is basically the welfare schemes started by the central government and its various ministries. That is also a very important component. And then others. Not so many questions from the topic others. So what is the composition of this general studies, where from the maximum questions are being asked, and what is the composition of others? If we also look at that, we can see that in the other section there is accounts and auditing, insurance, statistics, and IR and labor laws. In the last paper, which was conducted in 2015, a long time back, at that time we can see not many questions were there from these topics. But if we look at the recent trends, recently the EPFO AO examination was conducted, and a large number of questions were asked from IR and labor laws. A large number of questions were asked from the accountancy also. Okay, so we cannot be very sure what would be the distribution of these topics in the exam. So it is our responsibility, it is our duty, that if we want to be completely prepared for the exam, we must also prepare for these topics in a very good detail. But we will identify some important topics that we will focus on. Okay, next, if we talk about general studies, a lot many questions from the general studies were there. That is history, Indian freedom struggle and culture, questions were there. Geography and environment questions were there in the last examination of APFC. Then economy, Indian economy, 15 questions from there, polity 7 questions, and general science 8 questions. So in all, we can see out of general studies, history, geography, environment, economy, polity, general science, a lot many questions are being asked from the general studies, and we also have to prepare for these. Okay, so what should be the strategy? How you can approach this particular exam? If you are completely focusing on APFC exam, if you are preparing full time for this exam, I would recommend 4 to 5 hours on average daily basis you have to give for this exam. If you are preparing additionally for some other exam also, for some other banking or regulatory body exam, or for UPSC exam, then you can coincide those topics. For example, for UPSC aspirants, it is very easy to coincide the preparation of freedom movement and Indian economy and geography, environment, or population development with your UPSC preparation. If you are preparing for some banking examination, then it is very easy for you to coincide your general mental ability, general English, computer application knowledge, all these different topics you can very well coincide with the preparation for APFC. So you will have to decide, depending upon what other examinations you are preparing for, how will you allot time for APFC, right? If completely you are focusing on APFC, 4 to 5 hours should be dedicated completely, only, exclusively to the APFC preparation. Then you can break these 4 or 5 hours into 2 shifts. One is a morning shift, one is an evening shift. We always recommend that it is important that we give some break time to our brain, in order so whatever we have learned in one shift, we have some time for our brain to memorize that, to retain that, to encapsulate that, and then we go on to evening shift, where we will read some other new topics. Okay, so for example, 6 to 8:30 in the morning and 8 to 10:30 in the evening, that is the time that we can have. But depending upon your situation, obviously if you are a working professional, you might not be getting time, much time, so you will have to decide your studying hours. But be sure that you will have to give at least 3 hours or 4 hours daily for the APFC examination, if you want to prepare those topics, those subjects which you already have not prepared. Okay, so first of all, what should be the preparation strategy? These are all the subjects which you have to prepare for, and I have given allotted 120 days, that is about 4 months, for all these different subjects. So you will take only 4 months in order to prepare all these different subjects. At least once you will be able to read them and revise them also, right? So twice, once you will read all those topics and then you will revise all those topics. In 4 months you can completely do that. In addition to this, current affairs is a regular process, right? Daily newspaper readings will be there. Daily you will be reading about the daily current affairs from any of the coaching institutions, or you go online, there are various publications which release these compilations of current affairs on a monthly or a weekly basis. So you can also read that simultaneously. In addition to that, all these different chapters I have given allocated days also. you can tinker with the dates a little bit. For example, I have allocated around 21 to 39 days, right, starting from the day number 21, next going up to 39, around 19 days I have given for Indian culture, heritage and freedom movement. This is for those aspirants who do not have a prior knowledge of this subject. But if you have a prior knowledge, if you already have studied about this, either in college, either in school, or for your UPSC preparation or preparation for some other examination, then you can reduce these number of days and you can allocate these extra days to, for example, accountancy and auditing. Or if you feel that you are very good in social security insurance, schemes, you are well aware about that, and you also are well aware about general science and computer applications, you can reduce their days and you can allocate these days to some other subject which you are not very comfortable in. Okay, so be very sure that these dates I have given for keeping in mind an aspirant who needs to give proportionate time to all these subjects depending upon their difficulty level and depending upon their vastness, how vast these subjects are. I have allocated days according to that, depending upon your comfortability, depending upon your prior knowledge and prior situation. You can tinker with these dates a little bit. Okay, so first of all, I will now tell you how you will approach these different subjects and what are the sources that you will be using to complete these subjects, to cover these subjects. For example, if I talk about general English, the first 9 days are allotted to general English. Now in these 9 days, what you will have to do? These are the different topics that you will have to prepare. Okay. Now in these 9 days, you will have to read these topics. You will have to read, there are certain grammatical rules that you will have to read. There are certain, words and vocabulary which you will have to remember, which you will have to memorize. But this will not only happen in first 9 days. These 9 days are for those aspirants who need to go through these, who have not prepared for general English, for any other examination. So you can use this book for grammar and comprehension. You can use the book by Arihant, which is Objective General English. And for vocabulary, the word Power Made Easy is a very famous book, very recommended book by normal use, which is used by various aspirants for various examinations. But the caveat here is that in the first 9 days you will have to read about all these different topics, but after that you will have to keep practicing 1 hour daily. 1 hour daily you will have to give, you must give to English and to general mental ability, so that you keep on practicing them. If you read about these topics in the first 9 days and then you close these books and you never look at them again until the exam comes, this will not be very much beneficial. What you will have to make sure is read these topics once and then keep on practicing, so that once you keep practicing them, then all these topics, all these rules, they will be ingrained in your mind. And obviously whenever you have to learn a language, learning a language or acing a language, being a master at a language is not an easy task. It cannot be completed within a week or two. It must be a regular process. So in the first 9 days you will read about these different topics, and then you will every day you will give on some practice test, and you will keep on revising or keep on practicing these different questions related to these topics. For example, in the course that we are providing, the EduTap is the course that we are providing, we are giving you quizzes as well for general English, so that you can attempt them and then you can keep on practicing subsequently. Right. Next, after that, day 10 to 20, we are devoting them to general mental ability, that is your mathematical skills, and to the statistics. Now, statistics, it basically comprises of these 4 topics: the basics, the sampling methods, the central tendency measurements, and the measures of dispersion. The questions, they will be asked from these 4 topics only. Okay. And the statistics for economy, this is a textbook for class 11 statistics. That will be, I think, quite enough for you to answer these questions. And the course that we have provided, the content material that we have prepared, that completely covers all these different topics. In addition to this, if we talk about the quantitative aptitude, all those aspirants who are preparing for any of the examination, be it banking examination or regulatory body examination, even for UPSC you have to prepare for CSAT. All these different topics are very much important for that. And R.S. Agarwal's Quantitative Aptitude is a very recommended book that you can use. Otherwise, if you are taking help from any of the coaching institutions, be it EduTap or any other, you can also take help of their notes and quizzes, and must practice. The practice is the key here for the mathematical part. In the statistics, there are certain formulas that you'll have to remember. But in the mathematics part, the practice is the key. Right, the formulas are very simple. You have to do simple calculations. You have to remember simple formulas, but you have to keep practicing, because in the exam the speed will be of the essence, the accuracy will be of the essence, and the more you practice, the more fast you will be in solving those questions, and the more accurate you will be. Okay. Next is your Indian culture, heritage and freedom movement. I have devoted day 21 to 39 for that. If we talk about Indian culture, the questions that are usually asked, they are about Indian dance forms, Indian musical styles, Indian painting styles, and sometimes Indian festivals also. Not the very well known festivals like Holi, Diwali, but festivals which are not widely known throughout India. Some regional festivals or some festivals which are popular in a particular part of the country, those festivals become important. Next, the World Heritage Sites and Intangible Cultural Heritage, that is also very important. So questions can be asked from there also, right? If you talk about the freedom movement, starting from the decline of Mughals, after the Mughal Empire till your independence 1947, all the chapters have been compiled into this course that we have prepared, or you can consult some other sources that I'm going to tell you about in the next slide. You can prepare those from those sources only, also, okay? So this is the chapter list for the freedom movement. Again, in this you will have to memorize a lot of things. There are a lot of names of freedom fighters and personalities and even the British officers who served in India. Then there are various dates, various years that you will have to remember. Important chronology events, chronology of events will be there that you will have to remember. So be sure that you devote enough time for this, and you will have to again keep revising this also, so that you do not forget these important things. Okay. From where are you going to prepare? First of all, NCERTs are the standard source. NCERT books, they contain all the information that is relevant for the Indian culture as well as Indian history. Then comes Indian Culture and Heritage by Nitin Singhania, very well recommended book, widely used by UPSC aspirants to prepare for Indian culture. And then for the freedom movement part, for the history part, you can either have Bipin Chandra's History of Modern India or the Bipin Chandra's India's Struggle for Independence. Both of these books you can consult, but these books, I would say these two books, they are for those aspirants who want to prepare for the Indian history part in a very good detail. But for the APFC examination, if you do not have prior knowledge of Indian history, if you are not very well aware about that, you must start with NCERTs. First of all, if you cover the NCERTs, I think all the relevant things that you must know for this examination, you will be able to cover that. Okay. After that comes your population development and globalization. Again, NCERT's books, they provide you the data about population, Indian population as well as the world population, various terms that are associated with population studies. For example, what is sex ratio, what is literacy rate, what is morbidity, what is birth rate, life expectancy. These kinds of questions will be there in the exam. Okay. Next, the concepts like migration, the concepts like urbanization, those concepts are also very important from where questions can be asked. In addition to that, if we talk about development and globalization, globalization has certain key topics that you must study about. In the course that we are providing you, we have given you video lectures as well as chapters about globalization. What does it mean? What is the impact of globalization? Everything is there, but you have to supplement it with the current affairs. The various reports and indices which are released by national or international institutions regarding the quality of life in different parts of the world, that is also very important. For example, Human Development Report, the Democracy Index, the Hunger Index, these indexes and reports, these indices and reports, they are very, very important. What is India's performance there? Has India's performance improved in last years, or the performance has degraded in the last years? That is also very important. So you will have to regularly follow the newspapers, the PIB releases which are released by the Press Information Bureau, in order to be very well aware about the facts or the reports or the indices which are being generated. Okay. Next is your governance and constitution of India. Starting from the constitutional framework, the Indian Union, what constitution says about the rights of the citizens, the privileges of the citizens, then rights and duties of the Indian citizen and center-state relations. This is very important. Rights, which basically means the fundamental rights, the fundamental duties of the Indian citizens. Questions will be there in the exam from this topic, there is no doubt about that. Okay, center-state relations, various institutions and various laws and practices are there. How the central government manages or deals with the state governments, that is also very important. Then comes legislature and executive. We study about the cabinet, the president, the prime minister, the parliament and the state legislatures. Then the judiciary, Supreme Court, high courts and different lower judiciary courts. Constitutional and non-constitutional bodies, for example, Finance Commission, for example, non-constitutional bodies, if we talk about the National Commission for Women, National Human Rights Commission, all these different bodies which are there in India, all these different topics are very important from the governance and constitutional point of view. Okay, local government, the Panchayati Raj institutions in the rural areas and the corporations and councils in the urban areas, that is also very important, and all this can be covered through NCERTs and the Lakshmikant. Right, Lakshmikant is the book for Indian polity. A to Z information that you need for this exam can be covered from one single book, that is your Lakshmikant. I would recommend that first, if you do not have a good knowledge or understanding about Indian polity, first go through the NCERTs and then you consult Lakshmikant. If we talk about governance in India, this is about rights issues, public policy, administrative system, how the government administers the laws and implements the welfare policies, that you can learn about in this book by Lakshmikant, that is Governance in India, right? Next comes your general science. In general science, the questions, they are either from basic physics, chemistry or biology that we read about in classes 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Okay, so NCERTs of 9th and 10th, they are very much sufficient for this basic knowledge about physics, chemistry, biology for everyday life. In addition to this, questions will be there from the current affairs. The new technological and scientific developments which are happening in India or outside, they are very important. For example, ISRO missions. What are the missions that ISRO has launched in the previous years and in the future? What are the planned missions? That is very important. Then the web sources of Department of Biotechnology of the Indian government, the Department of Science and Technology of the Indian government, various schemes, various new developments that happen in the scientific field by Indian institutions that you can cover through newspapers, right? So these are the sources: NCERTs, ISRO website, the website for Department of Biotechnology and Department of Science and Technology, and then newspapers, the current affairs, either newspapers or the current affairs compilations, or from any of the coaching institutions that you can consult for this particular topic, that is general science, right? Next comes your Indian economy. Again, Indian economy, all these chapters, they are very, very important, but out of these, I would say the monetary policy, inflation and fiscal policy. This is very important, from which questions will be asked. Next, international economic institutions like IMF, World Bank, WTO, other developmental banks, for example, Asian Development Bank, New Development Bank. These institutions are also very important. Then the basic principles of economy, like what is demand and supply, what is the elasticity of demand, these questions will also be there. And especially for people from a non-economic background, these topics, these concepts, they might be a bit tricky to understand, but if you devote enough time and if you have a good enough content material, then you can easily understand these topics also, right? After this, the industrial and labor policy is also very important, but this we will cover separately also in the industrial relations and labor laws. Okay. Next, how are we going to cover Indian economy? First of all, NCERTs. NCERTs, they build this foundation where you gain the understanding about basic concepts. After that, you can use this Indian economy book by Ramesh Singh. Many aspirants for other examinations, they consult this book for Indian economy, and obviously newspapers and current affairs will be there to supplement your knowledge. Whatever new developments are happening in India or outside related to economy, they will be very important, that you can cover through current affairs. Okay. After this comes your industrial relations and labor laws. Industrial relations, in this particular topic, we have identified these chapters that are important. Out of these, I would say that the trade union part is very important. Then industrial conflicts, disputes and settlement of industrial disputes, this is very important. And looking at the nature of the examination, we expect that questions will be from this topic. Labor welfare. Labor welfare is a very important part. Assistant Provident Fund Commissioner, the post that you are competing for in this exam, that post also focuses on the welfare of workers and the labor welfare, right? After this, the industrial health and safety and international industrial relations, this is also very important. So out of these, a few topics that you must focus on is labor welfare, is workers' participation in management, settlement of industrial disputes and industrial conflicts and disputes, right? These are the topics that you must focus on. After this, labor laws. Labor laws, Payment of Wages Act of 1936, Minimum Wages Act of 1948, Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act of 1946, Trade Unions Act of 26, Factories Act of 48, Industrial Disputes Act of 47. These are the 6 important laws that you have to read. The basic provisions, the minute details of these laws, you will have to go into that. And in order to cover those, I would recommend either you use this book by Pyali Ghosh, that is Industrial Relations and Labor Laws, right? Or you can go online to the Ministry of Labor and Employment, and you will find all these acts listed there, and you can go and read the bare act as well. If you want to do this, you can do this. Otherwise, in the course that we are providing you, we have comprehensively covered all the important acts, labor laws, we have covered them. And also, if we talk about industrial relations, the important chapters that are there, video lectures and notes, we have provided that for you also. Okay. After this comes social security and insurance. If we talk about social security, basically these are some ministries which implement welfare schemes for various sections of the society. Out of this, the Ministry of Labor and Employment, which focuses on labor welfare and focuses on workers of the organized unorganized sector. The schemes by labor ministry is very very important. In the previous examinations also, basically the schemes which were asked, they were related to the welfare of workers. They were either about pensions, they were either about retirement benefits or about provident benefits that we provide to the workers, right? Next, social justice and empowerment ministry for people, especially disadvantaged people, disabled people, or people belonging to marginalized groups, like transgenders, for example, like the victims of human trafficking. So we implement various schemes for those sections. Then for women and child development, health and family welfare, minority affairs, ministry of housing and urban affairs, for urban poor we implement various schemes. So all these different schemes are very very important, okay? And these schemes and these ministries and whatever new initiatives they are taking for social security of Indian population and various sections of it, they become also very important, okay? So what are the sources? These are mostly online sources, or you can go to any decent coaching institution site, and they will provide you with a plethora of schemes that are being provided by the, or that are being implemented by the central government, okay? Next comes your computer applications. Computer applications, many of us, we might be very well aware about various computer applications, but this is a book that you can consult if you are not very sure about your knowledge about computer. This is a book by Aryan, Computer Awareness, and various topics related to computer awareness. For example, what are the terminologies? What is RAM, ROM, what are different types of memories, what is operating system, what are computing languages, coding languages, all these different information you can easily find in this one particular book. And but this book is very vast. You might find a lot of irrelevant material in this particular book, but you will have to make sure that you only read those chapters, you only read those topics which will be there in the examination. So in the course that we have provided, we are we have sifted through all these sources, and we have only included those chapters which are important from the examination point of view. We have included only those topics which can be seen in the examination, which have been seen in the previous examinations or some other examinations, right? So you can go through this for computer applications. These are the last days of your preparation. And finally, this is accountancy and auditing. A large number of chapters are recommended to read for reading in this particular subject, but out of these, there are a few chapters which you must be focusing on. For example, Introduction to Accounting, that will give you a basic idea about what accounting basically means. Then trial balance, okay, this is very important, trial balance. Then accounting for share capital, bonus and rights issues and buyback of shares. This is a bit important because tricky questions can be asked from these topics. After this, accounting standards for inventory, accounting standards for revenue, and accounting standards for property, plant, equipment. This is important. And then comes your cash flow statement. This is also very important. So a few chapters, they are more important because there is a larger probability that questions in the exam will be asked from these two chapters. Okay. So be very careful while reading about accounting and auditing. If you are from a non-accountancy background, if you are from non-commerce background, you might find it difficult. So be very sure that you start studying from such a material which provides you all this information in a very simple and lucid language, which makes you understand all these important and crucial concepts which can be tricky at sometimes in a very simple language, so that you can grasp them easily. If you already have read about these chapters, if you have prepared for some other examination which is asking for accountancy and auditing, or if you have prepared for these different topics in your school days, you are from a commerce background, then you can find it very easy also, right? What are the sources? NCERT, I would recommend NCERT accountancy books from class 11th and 12th, and then Introduction to Accountancy, which is also standard book by T.S. Grewal, S. Chand. You can use that also, okay? So these are the subjects. 120 days you have for covering all these different subjects, and after this, current events. Regularly you have to be updated about various current events and what are the important dimensions that you have to cover. For example, government schemes and programs, the various reports that come, the government schemes and programs, they are also covered in the social security, right? Reports and schemes, they are part of the population development and globalization part of the syllabus. Important committees and commissions set up by the government, this is part of the polity section of the syllabus. So you can see all the different subjects which are part of the general studies and other subjects. Current affairs related to those subjects are important, okay? Next, national news, space and science, what new developments are happening there. Banking and finance, what new regulations, what new developments are happening there. Days, important events that we celebrate, important days that we celebrate, and their themes is important. Recently given awards and the awardees, they become important. Defense exercises in which India takes part. Summits and conferences and meets, appointments in persons in news and sports events, especially those sporting events where India is participating, or the sports where India has had a good performance, Indian athletes have had a good performance. All these events or current events, they become important for the examination, right? So current events, they obviously can be prepared. For example, one newspaper you must be very regular with. You can consult a magazine like Yojana or Kurukshetra, monthly magazines. These are monthly magazines and you can read them monthly, or you can find the compilations or summaries of these magazines from various online institutions, coaching institutions also. Okay. Then you can also, one-stop solution would be a coaching institute which goes through all these different sources and gives you a compilation of all the exam relevant current events and current affairs in one simple publication. So EduTap is also giving you that, right? We are providing you these current affairs magazines where we compile all these important current happenings relevant from the examination point of view in the exam, right, in the particular magazine. So the course that we have prepared for you, there is a free 10-day starter pack that you can go through and you can find out if the course is meeting your demands and is suitable for your needs or not. And if you are satisfied, you can opt for the master course for UPSC EPFO APFC. This master course contains all the various chapters, all the chapters that are part of the syllabus of the exam, and all the chapters which are especially relevant for the exam. We are also covering that. We are also providing you quizzes. We are also providing you practice tests, so that whatever you have learned, you can practice that and you can test whether you are progressing in your preparation or not, and you can assess if your preparation is going well or not, right? So this is all from my side in this particular video. If you like this video, if you think this video helped in your preparation for the EPFC examination, please do like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Keep on reading, keep on growing. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.